Most people would agree that in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the worst starter you can choose is Quaxly. So I thought to myself, is it possible to beat the entire game using nothing but Quaxly? This was crazy. So I made my character, got my Quaxly, beat Nemona, found Koraidon, beat Arven, and made my way over to Mesagoza. I then had to fight Nemona again, only this time, she had a rat. Not a great start, but we don't actually need to win this fight, so we just continued on. Beat the Team Star Grunts, got the Terra Orb, and after 3 days of dialogue, I headed west to go fight Katie. By the time I got to Cortando, my Quaxly had learned Wing Attack, so I was able to beat her pretty easily. I then fast traveled back to Mesagoza and headed east to fight Brassius, stopping to fight the Titan Cloth along the way, which was pretty easy since it's a rock type. Brassius was a bit more challenging. I used Workup not knowing Petalo would use Sleep Powder, but it missed, allowing me to kill with a Wing Attack. Brassius then sent in Smoliv, and I decided to use Workup again. However, this meant I got hit with a Razor Leaf before KOing with Wing Attack again. This meant Brassius was down to Pseudo-Wudo. Knowing he would Terrastalize, I used Wing Attack, hoping to one-shot it, which I didn't, and I got hit with a Trailblaze as a result. Quaxly lived and was able to KO on the second turn as a result. Second badge, mine. I then decided to fight the Titan Bombardier. I beat the first stage pretty easily, but it left me on low hit points for the second stage, so I lost. But after healing, I was able to beat the second stage, no problem. I then decided to go to Levincia to fight Iono, but unlike with Brassius, I didn't have any coverage moves for Iono, so I didn't even make it past the gym test. But I did get the Nemona battle out of the way. Most people find this battle annoying because by the time they find out it's happening, they've already set up their team to fight the gym leader, but this didn't really apply to me because I only have one Pokemon. I beat her team pretty easily. I then headed over to Cascarafa to fight Kofu, and while I was completing the gym test, I decided to fight the Titan Great Tusk. Okay, I'll fight Kofu then. I decided I needed to do some grinding, which ended up including beating the Titan Orthworm. I think I was supposed to fight that one before Great Tusk. Either way, I made it to level 45, so I was able to win by setting up 3 workups and then just spamming acrobatics until I killed everything. And afterwards, Great Tusk wasn't that hard since it's a ground type. So now I decided to re-challenge Iono. I mean, surely with such a high-level Pokemon, it shouldn't be that hard to beat her. It took 3 tries! And on the 3rd try, I had to give it a berry so it wouldn't get paralyzed. Why is this fight so hard? Oh. Smash that subscribe button. What a great idea! I then went over to Medali to fight Larry, the best gym leader. I then decided to do just a little bit of grinding. And I ended up just completely destroying Larry, and Nemona, and Tulip. So then I went to fight the Titan Dondozo and Tatsugiri, and I got really close, so I decided to do some more disproportionate grinding. And now that my Quaxly was level 69, I beat Tatsugiri pretty easily, same with Grusha. I might have gone a little overboard. With only one gym left, I headed to Montenevra, however it's pronounced. But I was stopped by Moist Critical, who told me I needed 2 Pokemon. I decided to use Pokemon Home to send myself a level 1 Quaxly to use for the fight. Is it cheating? Well, kinda, but what choice did I have? I completed the gym test pretty easily. The other Quaxly did level up a bit, but not enough to make it useful. When it came time for the actual battle, one Quaxly went down in the first round, and the other just spammed Liquidation. Honestly, this challenge is a lot easier than I thought it would be. Now, up until now, I've been avoiding the Team Star bases, since you need 3 Pokemon to enter, but I decided to just use Pokemon Home again to get 2 more level 1 Quaxlys, so I could do the same strategy I did for Rhyme. But as it turns out, most Team Star bases are no match for a level 70 Quaxly, but I ended up getting stuck on the Fairy base, mostly because they kept lowering my attack. I also wasn't able to beat Arven or the Elite Four yet. You know what that means? More grinding. Time to fight Arven. At this point, I didn't even need to use Workup. All Arven's Pokemon went down with either a Liquidation or a Wing Attack. Cloyster and Mabosstiff both survived long enough to get an attack in, but only Mabosstiff was able to do any real damage. And with that, the Path of Legends was complete. I forgot Azurill would use Charm and used Work Up and ended up getting my attack lowered, but I was still able to two-shot it with Acrobatics. I decided to use Work Up to get my attack back up, but didn't realize Wigglytuff would also use Charm and ended up just getting it lowered more. But I was still able to take it out with a Liquidation. Ortega then sent in Dogspun, who used Baby Doll Eyes, immediately lowering my attack further. You can see why this fight was hard, but despite having my attack lowered 3 stages, I was still able to two-shot it with Liquidation. This just left the Starmobile, so I used Work Up 3 times to get my attack back to normal, and then two-shot it with Liquidation. It turns out at level 100, Quaxly can two-shot a lot of things with Liquidation. I then made my way over to the Fighting Team Star base, but on the way, this happened. I decided I could catch it just as long as I didn't use it. So anyway, the final Team Star base. The hardest of them all. Surely this I pretty much just spammed Acrobatics until everything died. The Starmobile was able to paralyze me with Combat Torque, but it didn't really affect anything. And with that, I had officially beaten all the Team Star bases. I then went back to the Academy to fight Clavel. Most of his team went down pretty easily, but then of course there was his last Pokemon, Meowscarada, fully evolved Grass Starter against fully unevolved Water Starter. A battle for the... Just kidding, I one-shot it. So that just left Penny. I was able to one-shot Umbreon and Jolteon, but Jolteon used Baby Doll Eyes. This lowered my attack enough that Leafeon was able to survive in Acrobatics, allowing it to hit me with a Leaf Blade. A second Acrobatics knocked it out, and Penny sent in Flareon. I took the opportunity to use Work Up to get my attack back up, but this allowed Flareon to land a crit Flare Blitz. I took it out with Liquidation, and Penny sent in Vaporeon. It survived in Acrobatics and used Hydro Pump, but it missed, allowing me to knock it out with another Acrobatics. This just left Sylveon, who I one-shot with Liquidation. And with that, Starfall Street was also complete. So now I had the daunting task of beating the Elite Four with a Quaxly. First up was Rika. It was pretty easy since she uses ground types. I set up 2 workups and then just swept with Liquidation. Except Clodsire because it had Water Absorb. I healed up and then challenged Poppy. I used the same strategy again. 2 workups, then sweep. Only this time, Poppy had a Magnezone with Sturdy, but for some reason it used Light Screen, and I was able to finish it off with Aqua Jet. The rest of the battle was uneventful. Again, I healed up to challenge Larry. Larry opened with Tropius, so I knocked it out right away with Acrobatics to avoid getting hit by any Grass-type moves. He then sent out Staraptor, whose Intimidate lowered Quaxly's attack. I counteracted this with Work Up, but it left me open to a Brave Bird. Next up was Altaria, who survived in Acrobatics and hit me with a Dragon Pulse before getting knocked out. I was then able to Oko Oricorio and Flamigo. Heal up, and begin the next fight. Hassel led with Noivern. I set up Work Up, but ended up getting hit by a Super Fang in the process. I then swept most of Hassel's team with Acrobatics. However, Baxcalibur was able to survive a hit and used Glaive Rush. Fortunately, I saved before the fight, so I didn't have to do the whole thing all over again. I decided to try and KO Noivern without using Work Up first, and got hit with Super Fang. It seemed like getting hit with Super Fang was unavoidable, so I decided I'd just have to use Work Up against another Pokemon. So I took care of Noivern and then used Work Up against Dragalge. However, this allowed it to use a Thunderbolt. I also got poisoned and ended up dying before I could get to Baxcalibur. But then I had another idea. I challenged him again, but this time I used Work Up twice, and sure enough, Noivern used Super Fang twice. I was then able to sweep Hassel's entire team with Acrobatics. And just like that, I had beaten the Elite Four. Now I had to fight Geeta. But I think we all know how that went. Champion rank was mine. Now I just had to beat Nemona, but that fight was also pretty easy. Victory road complete. There was one last challenge left though. The way home. The final storyline of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I made my way to Area 0, almost died, and made my way down to the time machine. All I had to do left to complete this challenge was beat Professor Sada. She led with Slitherwing. I tried to use Work Up, but it used Lunge and lowered my attack. I tried using Work Up again, and it used Low Sweep to lower my speed. It then used Leech Life before I was able to knock it out. I tried using a Max Potion to heal, but her Fluttermane was able to outspeed and KO with 2 Thunderbolts. This time I used Acrobatics to knock out Slitherwing before it could do anything. Fluttermane was able to outspeed and hit me with a Thunderbolt, but I was able to knock it out with Liquidation. I then outsped and O-code Sandy Shocks and Brute Bonnet. She then sent out Screamtail, and I decided to use Work Up, knowing her last Pokemon would be Roaring Moon. I used Work Up 3 times, and Screamtail used Play Rough 3 times. One of them missed, but the other 2 got me dangerously low. I then knocked Screamtail out with Liquidation, and she sent in Roaring Moon. I knew Roaring Moon would outspeed, so I used a Max Potion. Roaring Moon used Dragon Claw, which took almost half my health. I selected Acrobatics, knowing Quaxly would not only have to survive this next attack, but also Oko Roaring Moon. And with that, I had officially beaten Pokemon Scarlet using nothing but Quaxly. Nothing. Wait, no. No! No! No!